Greetings, colleagues. Do you attend meetings? I know, who doesn't? But what's the lexicon for a business English meeting? What words and terms do we often encounter in a meeting? If you're struggling to understand the procedures of the meeting, want to improve your business English vocabulary, or just want to get ready for that next round of meetings, then this is the video for you. We'll go through 44 common terms used in meetings and give some examples for each. Let's level up your business English.
Now, if we can all agree to these, we can take a vote, and I think we can start off in the right direction.
Vote. So if it's a formal meeting, like a board meeting, an annual general meeting, something like that, there may be voting on certain measures, certain decisions. A vote is when everyone gets to say, yes, I agree or disagree. Usually voting is yes and no or something like that. You have two options, two alternatives, A and B, yes, no. We're going to agree or disagree, or we're going to do this or not going to do this. And it should be very clear. Sometimes in general elections, when there's a referendum, a common complaint is the question is not clear. So some people were confused. Wait, does a yes vote mean we support it? Or sometimes a yes vote means we don't support it. And so that can be very confusing if you're reading it for the first time when you're voting. So it's very important that it's very clear, what does a yes vote mean? What does a no vote mean? And then how do we vote? We could use a ballot, ballot voting that is a piece of paper. Now, it could be just as simple as, writing yes or no, that sort of thing, or maybe it's pre-printed. It's got the question in a checkbox, check here for yes, here for no, that sort of thing, or, here for John, here for Nancy, whatever the decision is, but it's pre-printed. Other times it could just be writing in yes or no, John or Nancy, whatever the vote is for. Sometimes we use voice voting, especially if it's something not very controversial. You want to take a quick vote. Should we take a break now or work for another 20 minutes and then take a break? You don't want to spend 5 minutes doing the vote. You might just say, all those who want to take a break now, vote aye, and people will say aye. And then those that oppose, vote nay, nay. And then the chair should kind of figure out, well, clearly there's more ayes or clearly there's more nays. And so they will say the nays have it, we'll continue working, or the ayes have it, we'll take a break now. And so if there's a dispute, or maybe it's too close, sometimes it seemed like the same number of people, then you have to do a second vote. You have to kind of follow it up to make it clear. What might they do at that point? Show of hands. I hope you're enjoying this content. If you are, conquer that like button and make it ours.
By a show of hands only, how many of you have read the entire text?
So all those in favor, raise your hand. Okay, the chair will count. All those opposed, raise their hand. And then the chair will count. And then, okay, the ayes have it, the nays have it, and then we move on. Now, if it's something controversial, maybe you want a secret ballot, so you choose a written vote instead. Or sometimes it's a roll call vote, where instead of just everyone who wants yes voting at the same time or no voting at the same time, the chair or the secretary will read each name of the board, and each board member will say, yay or nay, yes or no, and then it's recorded. So if it's a very important vote, maybe that is the way that it should be done. Sometimes you'll see parliaments do this as well, but there's different ways to vote.
And because I will not fight, I will not cast a vote that will send others to fight in my stead.
Other voting terms, cast a vote or the casting of votes. So to cast a vote is when you vote, which is kind of a formal way to say it.
In an unanimous decision, we find there are no reasonable grounds for appeal.
Unanimous. Sometimes the decision has to be unanimous. Everyone agrees. Or maybe it doesn't have to be, but it is unanimous. Everyone agrees. No one disagrees. It could be unanimous that we all agree no, or it could be unanimous we all agree yes, but everyone agrees. So somewhat similar to consensus.
There's a proxy vote for a big reinvestment of the pension coming up. So if you just want to come by the old...
And also proxy or proxy vote. A proxy is basically a representative. I can't go, so I'm sending a proxy. I'm sending a representative. Maybe, I can't go to that wedding, I can't go to that funeral, but I'm sending, my son or my daughter to kind of represent the family. Or, I can't attend that meeting, so I'm going to send a proxy to attend for me. We talked about annual general meeting before. Maybe I own shares in a company. I can't attend the meeting, but I want someone to go for me. They'll be my proxy, my representative. And not only can they go for me, but they can also vote for me. So they can be my proxy vote. That is, I will assign my shares to them to vote my shares. If I have 100 shares, I have 100 votes. They get to control my 100 votes at this particular general meeting. That doesn't mean they can sell my shares. They don't have control over my shares. They just control the vote, my proxy, at this usually particular meeting, specific meeting. And sometimes in parliaments or Congress, they will do this as well. In the United States, there's a recent court case. It's kind of interesting to see how it will go, but a state is complaining that Congress was basically voting by proxy instead of having a quorum, being in person and voting, as the Constitution requires. Which brings us to our next word, quorum. A quorum is a designated number or percentage of members that are present, that are attending. Without a quorum, the committee or the board or a parliament cannot do anything officially. They might have an informal meeting, that sort of thing, that may be fine, but they can't make any decisions because there's not enough members. So usually a quorum is half. Sometimes it might be a little bit higher than that, but it's about half. And so imagine if you only have 2 out of 10 or 2 out of 100 or 200 members of parliament attending, but then they pass all these decisions. They make all these decisions, pass all these laws, but it was just 2 people doing that. That's not really fair. So they need to have a quorum. At least half of the members have to be present to make official decisions. Without a quorum, they can't make official decisions. It's time to conquer that like button and make it ours. If you enjoyed this video, then take the next step and watch this video on business English phrases for running a meeting. Continue your journey.